This morning I'm going to be uninstalling my TB Performance Products C-pillar brace and rear strut bar because I actually want to give them a nice coat of red paint. When they started making these products, they were originally red, but then they've changed them out to this gloss black. So if you were to order it now, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so I have the C-pillar brace out, and now if you look in your trunk, you'll see basically there's this hole here where there's a bolt, and then on the other side as well. That's where it's going to mount into. You'll basically need to remove this 10mm bolt from both sides. You're going to reuse this. The trick to installing it is, you can see there's some threads here on both sides. If you rotate, in my case, this towards me, it's going to pull the outer bits in, and if I rotate this the other direction, it's going to push both of them simultaneously out. So to do the installation, you basically want to put them in the hole and then rotate this until the outer pieces are extended enough so that it stays in place, and then keep turning it until it's tight enough. Then you'll want to use the 10mm socket with a short extension to put the bolt in through the hole here and then tighten it down. So that's the C-pillar brace. Very easy to install. All right, let me go ahead and remove the rear strut bar now. Here's what it looks like with the rear strut bar removed. It's actually one of the easiest pieces to install and uninstall, which is convenient because sometimes you have to remove it to carry larger things in here. But basically, if you look on top of the rear strut tower, you'll see that there's a nut here. Do not remove this nut. I've seen someone mistakenly try to remove this thinking they needed to take this off to install it. You're going to simply take the rear strut bar, put it in at this angle on both sides, and then kind of roll it forward, and then it'll pop on top. And then they'll supply you with a pair of nuts here. You'll want to use a 19mm socket with a short extension. I mean, you can do it without the extension, but it's going to be easier because you'll have the room to actually tighten it down. So, very simple to install. Alright, I'm just about ready to paint. It's a perfect day out, about 70 degrees, so I'm out in the shade here. I used Goof Off to clean the adhesive left over from the stickers, then soap and water to clean the goof off from here, then I used 320 grit wet automotive sandpaper just to knock a little bit of the shine off, and also parts where the paint had been chipped from just having stuff in the trunk. Unfortunately, I wanted to smooth that out. So for the C-pillar brace, I do recommend unscrewing this a bit, putting some painter's tape on here, and then screwing it in just enough so that there's no exposed threads. You don't want to have any paint on these threads. Now, if you are planning on painting these right off the bat for whatever color scheme you're doing, you can go ahead and ask them to not paint these, and they'll just show up as raw steel. The mid-chassis brace that I have for my car, when I bought that off of someone, they actually had ordered it that way, and that's why I ended up painting it red. Today, I'm actually going to use the Krylon for this. I used Rust-Oleum before. I've had better luck with Krylon in the past, and I know the Rust-Oleum, I am seeing a little bit of signs of rust already on some of the pieces that I've painted red. So I'm hoping that this will work a little bit better. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, give this some coats on the one side, let it dry for like at least an hour or two, and then flip it over and do the other side. Alright, so far so good. I've already done 2 coats. I'm going to do 3 coats on each side, waiting about a minute between each coat. Follow the instructions. You want to be, proper distance. Start spraying before coming across the bar. So basically, just like this, and then we'll do the other one, and then the other side. And the important part is patience. Make sure you let this dry properly. Alright, so that is my 3rd coat. I'm going to go ahead, give this about an hour or 2 to dry, and then flip it over and do the other side. The final coat is dry. I'm ready to reinstall. The strut tower brace, I ended up just suspending it across 2 bricks here. That way I can just give it one final coat all around, and then let it dry without leaving any marks. And for the C-pillar brace, I did something similar. I gave it a quick coat all around, and then I hung it on the edge of my table here, so that way, again, no marks on here. And then when you're done with your spray paint, use some lacquer thinner with a Q-tip and just clean the tip here of the nozzle, and that way it won't clog. All right, let me go ahead and reinstall these. And here it is reinstalled. When it was originally black, you could not see this from outside the car, but now you can. So let's go ahead and open the trunk. All right, so it's actually been about a week. I wanted to wait for the paint to cure, and then I applied these decals I cut out onto here. Now the C-pillar brace, I mounted it this way so that the centerpiece is forward. If you have it in the middle, then it will actually have a reflection right here when you look in your rear view mirror. When you do it this way, the only thing that you're going to see is just the little end pieces, and then this is literally going to disappear above the glass. Also, if you're wondering, when you do look in the rear view mirror, when you have it set this way, it's actually going to be below the edge of the trunk line, so it will not actually impede on your view out the rear window. Now, as for the strut bar here, this is a part that when you install it, you might not be able to tell that it's making a difference at all. I know when you put the front strut bar on, you can immediately tell that there's going to be better feedback response from the tires. This one, not so much. I drove around for a few weeks with it, and then one day I had to take it out to make extra room for some large boxes I had to carry, and didn't put it back in. And as soon as I started taking turns with it, when it wasn't in here, I could tell it was not here and that the handling was actually worse. So put it back in, and the handling's fine. So this is a piece where you'll appreciate it more when it's not in here after you realize that it is actually making a difference. Performance-wise, for the seat pillar brace, it's not really going to do anything for you because it's mounted so high. All it's going to do is stop the upper chassis from flexing. The main reason I got this was because every time I took a turn, I would hear a creak from the moonroof. It was very disconcerting. I really hate having the car make extra noises. I mean, to the point where I dyno mat parts of the car that make vibrations that I don't like. But this will get rid of that creak, and you'll know that the upper chassis is not flexing at all. And it was pretty much night and day when I took turns with this thing installed. So, one last tip. If you're carrying stuff back here and you're worried about this getting scratched up, you can go to the hardware store and pick up this foam insulation for piping. It's a 1-inch diameter. Basically, just cut down the middle. You can just pop it over top of here, and then that way, if you carry anything in the car, it's not going to mess up the finish on here. All right, well, I hope that this helps you with your decision if you're debating on getting either of these parts in the near future. All right, thanks for watching.